So what you'll need for this project is a hammer, a couple hammers. I got a dead blow and I think it's a 3-pound dead blow and a 1-pound just normal hammer. And then I got a couple ratchets, one flex head, one not. And then you will need a 12 millimeter, I don't know if you can see that, and a 14 millimeter socket. Deep or shallow, I believe, will work. I know it works with deep sockets. And then for me, I have special keyed lug nuts, locking nuts. And then a paint marker and a Sharpie, and a 32 millimeter axle nut socket to break the axle nut. And this is for the rear wheel bearing on a 92 or 1G DSM or front wheel drive non-turbo DSM. And then I used a couple, I wrote it down the other side, a couple of the ratcheting combination wrenches, 114, 112, and then I have a extra long 14 millimeter box end or box wrench combination, whatever you want to call them. And then you will need at least a flathead, one you can hammer on, to pop this little cap out in the middle. And I used a T20 Torx to loosen or get the parking brake cable off the caliper so you can move the caliper. I will show you that in a little bit. And then some pliers to take out a few retaining clips for the parking brake. And then this little tool, which I believe I used this end to reset the brake caliper piston. And some paper towels and brake clean. And then a torque wrench. And obviously the wheel bearing. So let's get started. And then I am using a impact as well. Make things a lot easier. And I do have the actual shop service Talon or service manual for my Talon. I will be referring to that for the torque specs. And in addition to the the half-inch torque wrench, I'm going to use the 3/8 for some of the smaller bolts. Go ahead and get these lugs off. Oh, and then you will also need, where did I put that? Just a simple bungee cord that you can hold the caliper up with. We will loosen this one down here, which is just a 12. And I will be using just my ratcheting box end. Pretty sure that'll be enough. But before I loosen that all the way, get that parking brake cable loosened. So that you'll need to use a 12 that you will want to loosen. There's supposed to be a bolt right here that goes and holds the parking brake cable in place. And then you will need to take the T20 Torx, which fits pretty well in there, and just then use it to pry on the cable a little, as you can see there, which will allow you to pop the cable out of here, or right here, but you need to get this clip out first, the retaining clip thing. That's where the pliers come in. You can actually push down the one that sits in this hole with the torque screwdriver. There we go, that popped out easily. Because there's another little retainer right. Let's see if I can get it. Right on there with that little right there. And then you just need to pop that out. Pretty much. It's actually not that hard, you can spin it around. Extra light in here. So what I'm going to do that there, that there. There we go. So then you just kind of spin. Just pull that off. That little thing. And that will allow, once you get this bit out, the cable out of the, where it clamps the brake, the pads, pulls on the piston, you just pull through here and then slide the cable out. That cable out now. Then you will need the needle nose. You've got that little retainer bit out. Gotta just pry this back. There. That little thing. Yep. Now, easily, it's easier to get in there, grab that cable, kind of just there. So you work that cable around. You can pretty much just lift it up. There you go, you got the primary cable out. And then from there, the reason why you need to loosen this one back here, which I don't have, I guess, you just need to pull, and then the cable comes out, and now you're disconnected. Primary cable is disconnected from the caliper. Alright, and then from there, you can go ahead and finish removing this bolt down here from the caliper. And the caliper just should just be able to flip it up. Just like that. For the wheel bearing, and then once you got that off, drop this back down. What I would do is send that bolt back through so it doesn't slide off up here or anything. It's kind of partially threaded in, and then this is where you will need the 14 non-ratcheting combination, because you will need to, at least I did on the other side, I had to hammer it. The bolts are stuck. Pull. Just like this. Here, and you can go over it with a ratchet. And down here. We get this one. Should be right here. This one's a lot looser, at least not as stuck. And now, I'm just going to go over it with the ratcheting combination 14. Get this bracket off. And then both of those loose enough. What you can then do, what you need to do next, send bungee cord up here, usually wrap it through there. Then that blue one's going to be hooked to hold the caliper, so I can get the rotor off and then to the hub. Now just to take off the, finish taking off that off. What you'll want to do is take that bungee cord you hung from the rear coilover and hook it up here. Just make sure that that brake line isn't getting too kinked. There we go. That's better. The caliper hanging there. We can now just pop the rotor off. Set that out of the way. Now, in order to get this hub off, that's what we need the screwdriver and the actual just normal hammer for. But then what you'll do is get a little groove kind of here. You can see that. Yep. Work around it with the hammer and the flathead, and it should slowly pop it off. So you get it out enough, you can start tapping on the screwdriver like this rather than on top, which will allow it to get, will pop it out further than, because then you're not going to indent the little cap. Just kind of slowly work your way around. There we go. That came off. And then I will use my impact, but you want to pop out that little indent first. See if I need to get that out with the impacts. The little indent, hopefully pushed out enough. This on. There we go. Like it wasn't. And assuming mine are, I'm pretty sure mine are original, should just hopefully like slide off. Yep. And then that's the wheel bearing out. And then you will need to take that little tooth plate out. And then that's the wheel bearing and hub assembly for a 1G DSM or 1980. From me, it's a 1992 Eagle Talon. And then I will clean up the surface just to make it easier for the next time. If there's a next time you take it off, just put a little bit of grease around this race, around the journal here. Installation's pretty easy. I will show you that once I get this cleaned up. Just gonna spray it down with brake clean. And then in order to get this little bolt out to help clean the journal and everything off out of around it, it's just a 12mm. go. Very thin layer. Just fit it. Yep. Yep. That'll work. I know you're not really supposed to, but I'm using the old axle nut. I don't have a new one. The range is from 200 to 260 newton meters, or 144 to 180 foot-pounds. So I did 166 right around the middle. Put that guy right there. And then the little one for the dust plate, I usually just do hand tight, or a little bit more than hand tight. And that is about 7 to 10 foot-pounds, so just basically tighten it. And snug it up. And then for the caliper bolts, it would be 50 to 60 newton meters, or 36 to 43 foot-pounds. I'll do somewhere right around the middle with those as well. Yep. So yeah, and then let's get torque. Let's set it to 166 foot-pounds. Just right around the middle of that range. That's what I did for the other side. 60 and 166. Get the impacts. Take off the impact. Let's go ahead. Put that down. Oh. Once you torque it, they're going to mark it with there we go. We are torqued. So you can see I went still a little tighter than before, because the notch is right here. Yep. So then I just punch that in. What you'll do is you'll punch that in with a flathead or something, a chisel, just so the nut doesn't come loose on its own. There we go. And what I'm going to do is take the blue Sharpie that I have, try to make 2 lines that line up on either side, because in the event that it does start to come loose, or it does come loose by the time I check this again or whatever, then I will be able to know, okay, so it did start coming loose or not. Hopefully not. Let me get that brake rotor back on. First, what I want to do is clean it. put it on like that backwards. See, brake clean. And then flip it over. Do that once again. And start putting, put the brake caliper back on in that one. 39. Yeah, 39 foot-pounds is what I'm going to do. Get these tightened down. There's 39 foot-pounds for the top one. Now, what we'll want to do is take the special brake caliper tool, and we'll take some socket or extension and stick it on here, and then put it on a ratchet. And what you do is you get the two little pegs lined up with these little kind of indents or cutouts, and you just kind of tighten it down. Should be enough to put the brake pads in. There we are. Slide it over, drop it down. Got the pads in. Just gotta push that little. There we go. And we'll send this bolt in. This one. The 16 to 23 foot-pounds or 22 to 32 newton meters. So I'm going to do 19. 19 foot-pounds for that. It'll be 19. I'll do 20 because that's the lowest my torque wrench will do. Since it was 16 to 23. there is foot pads, and then I need to put on this little dust cap right here. This will cover, so I'm going to clean it off. That's in. I'm just going to get that parking brake cable back in. Set is the reverse of what we did before. Slide it out of that. Slide it back into this little claw here. But before put it back in, you want to put this guy back in part way. Send the little hooked bit in first. There. That is in. And for this, when you're torquing on lug nuts, do it in a star pattern. So I've already got that one down. Hand tight. And got this one hand tight. That's it. And I just gotta drop this down, take it for a test drive. Then we should be good to go. You gotta listen. I'm gonna repeat this. It's not as loud as it was before.